Hi guys, so today we are going to solve an O-level past paper question from the year 2020, the session October and November. Let's get into it. The diagram shows a cylinder, a solid formed by joining a cylinder to a hemisphere. The diameter of the cylinder is 9 centimeters and its height is 16 centimeters. The volume of the hemisphere is equal to the volume of the cylinder. They show that the radius of the hemisphere is 7.86 centimeters, correct to two decimal places. The key information or the key detail that you need to know is this. Also, when the diameter of the cylinder is 9, of course the radius would be half of it. We'll be using 4.5. Okay, so in order to find the volume of the cylinder first, you would need to use this formula. Volume of cylinder can be found using pi r square h. In this case, the value of r is 4.5, so we'll use that. 3.14 is the standard value of pi times 4.5 squared times 16, which is the height of the cylinder. Eventually, you get 1117.36 centimeters cubed, which is the volume of the cylinder as well as the hemisphere as mentioned in the question. In order to find the volume of the hemisphere, you will need to use this formula, 4 over 3 pi r cubed times 1 over 2. Now this 1 over 2 is actually an addition to the original formula of a sphere, because you need to divide the volume of a sphere by 2 in order to get the volume of a hemisphere. When you do that, this is what you get, 4 over 3 times 3.14 times r cubed, r is what we're trying to find, times 1 over 2, and this is equal to the volume of the cylinder, which is 1117.36. Okay, next you multiply the 4 over 3 by 1 over 2 and you get 4 over 6. I'm just trying to simplify the question, times 3.14 times r cubed, which is all equal to 1117.36. Next, you put this over 1, you cross multiply 6 and 4. When you do that, 1117.36 gets multiplied by 6 and then divided by 4. You end up with 1526.04 equal to 3.14 times r cubed. Okay, next you divide this by 3.14. When you do that, you get 486, which is equal to r cubed. Now, in order to find the value of r, just r, you find the cube root of both sides. When you do that, this cancels out with this, and r eventually becomes 7.86. That is what the question asks, 7.86 centimeters. I hope that made sense. Okay, let's move on. The next part of the question says, calculate the total surface area of the whole solid. Now, there are two shapes that are attached to each other in this figure, a cylinder and a hemisphere. We'll again be using two different formulas, but bear in mind that this circle at the bottom of the cylinder is not visible. That is not that it's not exposed. So we don't need the area of this circle. Okay. So to find the total surface area of the cylinder, first, total surface area of cylinder, you need to use this formula, 2 pi r h plus pi r squared. Now normally this is 2 pi r squared. Why? Because there is a circle at the top and there is a circle at the bottom. So we use 2 pi r squared, but we're not using the circle at the bottom, so we just use pi r squared instead. Now let's plug in the values. 2 times 3.14 times 4.5 times 16 for the first part, plus 3.14 times 4.5 whole squared for the second part. When you do this, you get 452.16 plus 63.585 equal to, so you add this up, add both these values up, you get 515.745 centimeters squared. This is the total surface area of the cylinder. For the hemisphere, a different formula needs to be used. Total surface area of hemisphere. Now there are two parts to a hemisphere. One is the curved part and the other is the circular ring. Okay. The curved part is this. The circular ring is this. Why we use the circular ring? Because instead we would have used the whole circle, this whole circle. But since a circle inside this larger circle is being subtracted from it, so we need to use this ring instead, because this is the only part of the hemisphere that is exposed at the top. Okay, coming back to the formula. So the formula for the curved part can be found by 4 pi r squared divided by 2. Why divide by 2? Of course, this is a hemisphere, so we need to divide the formula of the surface area of a sphere by 2. Plus, now, pi r squared, which is the total circle at the top of the hemisphere, minus pi r squared, which is the circle at the bottom of the cylinder. Okay, now let's start plugging in these values. So 4 times 3.14 times 7.86, because that's the radius of the hemisphere, divided by 2, let me put this in brackets, plus pi r squared 3.14 times 7.86 squared minus 3.14 times 4.5 squared, because that is the radius of the cylinder. Okay, when you do this, for the first part, you get 387.98, and for this whole part, since I've already calculated this, you get 130.403. Now you add both these values up, what you end up is with 518.38 centimeters squared. This is the total surface area of the hemisphere, of whatever parts of the hemisphere are exposed. Now, in order to find the total surface area of the whole shape, TSA of whole shape, you need to add this and this. So the surface area of the cylinder was 515.745, and the surface area of the hemisphere is 518.38. Okay, so the final answer in this case is 1034.1 centimeters squared. This is the total surface area of the whole shape. I hope that made sense. That was a long question, and it was only 3 marks in the past papers, but the PDF file is actually present in the link below. You may download it if you don't understand it during this video. Anyways, there's one more part left to it. Okay, a different solid is in the shape of a cuboid. The cuboid measures 8 cm by 4 cm by 6 cm. These measurements are given correct to the nearest centimeter. Calculate the lower bound of the volume of the cuboid. So first, how to find the volume of a cuboid? We use this formula. Cuboid volume is equal to length times the width times the depth. Okay, now what these values are, if 8 centimeter is the length, for example, the lower bound of this value would be 7.5, because that's the lowest possible value in order to be converted to 8. The lower bound of 4 would be 3.5 and the lower bound of 6 would be 5.5. Now we use these three values and multiply them with each other. 7.5 times 3.5 times 5.5. This will give you the total volume of the cuboid. In this case, it is 144.375 centimeters cubed. I hope this made sense. The PDF version of the working is present in the link below for you to download. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button for regular updates. Thank you.